In today's video, we'll be discussing how we can help you, our client, in terms of property sales, lettings, management and our investor services.
Welcome to ProfileTree TV. Today we're here with Gordon Campbell from Campbell Co Estate Agents. I'm really looking forward to having a really good chat about property. So thank you very much for coming in, Gordon.
Thank you, lovely to be here.
It's very exciting.
Yes,
You know
yes.
about the property and decoration and all of that. And to want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background.
Yes, I am the Managing Director of Campbell Co Estate Agents. We operate two branches, one in Belfast and one in Lisburn. And I have a little bit about myself. I've married with four boys.
Keeps you out of
17,
trouble.
yes, 17, 14-year-old twins and 8-year-old. So a little bit of a noise factory, our house, you know. So we have that, 2 dogs and a cat. And we live just outside Saintfield in County Down.
Lovely, lovely.
We launched the business in 2004. And for the first 7 years of operation, we specialised in property letting and management. And that allowed us to know that side of things, the legalities and the processes, industry-leading processes, inside out. And we built over those years a large portfolio of properties under management. And around 8 years ago, we launched into sales. And we wanted to go into sales and do it properly, making sure that we maintain good lines of communication with our clients, but also looking at the process and to start off in the right way for our client in terms of property preparation right the way through. And sales today in this last financial year certainly is the fastest growing section of our business.
So you made the right decision.
Yeah, hopefully.
And how does Campbell Co, the service offered by you guys, how does it differ from your competitors? Because there's a lot of estate agents out there.
Yeah. Competitors, there are an awful lot, and that seems to be getting increasing year on year. We offer a one-stop shop, to use that term. So whether you're looking to buy a property you're selling, or you're looking to rent your property out, you're looking to invest in property, or indeed you need your property managed when it's tenanted, we offer all of that.
Uh-huh.
And because of the how we've I suppose grown up as a business in terms of the property management offering, we have a full panel of trusted contractors who do all of our maintenance works. But also we have been involved over the years in many refurbishment projects for our clients.
Wow.
So what we offer and spend time on for our clients is preparing properties for sale or for rental, or where a client has bought an investment property, we will identify defects, property improvements. We'll organise quotes for that work to be carried out, and then contractors upon completion of sale can start that work and complete it. Meanwhile, we have the property on the market to let, to minimise any lost rental income there and get the property let as quickly as possible. So because we can arrange good quality refurbishments at the right price for our clients, that a lot of folks who are time poor, that's a real advantage to them. And as I say, whether we're renting the property or it's coming on for sale, it is an advantage to both. The other thing I would say what differentiates us is I'm sure that there's lots of good people out there, but I'm blessed to have a great team of people in both offices who really want to be there and do their best for our clients. And what we work on and have always focused on is having a strong customer service reputation. And that's something that I believe in passionately. You're only as good as the last job you've done for one of your clients. So people are a big part of that. And also, finally, I would mention the processes that we have internally. The use of industry-leading cloud-based property software, and the fact that we've got 2 branches and a greater coverage than many local agents means that we can offer the coverage and also the property expertise through our systems and processes.
Which is brilliant. So, for example, if you're selling the house, you're able to advise on how you can maybe get more for your house by doing certain things.
Yes.
And as you say, it's all about the customer service. It's not just about, yes, we can sell your house, but it's actually getting the maximum for the people. And the same with the investors, that they possibly have other things going on that they haven't got the time to actually refurbish a house, and you've obviously got an eye for it at this stage too.
Yeah, because we see at the back end of the transaction where those properties that are selling.
Of course.
And so we can see properties in terms of how they're presented, and the difference that makes in terms of how quickly a property will sell, and ultimately for how much. And folks are starting to understand that it isn't just about the price and getting the price, it's about how long it takes to achieve that price. So a client will thank us more if we have their property on and achieve the desired price within a 1 month window,
of course,
versus the property sitting on for a year. So that is something that we will advise on right at the first meeting. When we go to appraise and value a property, we'll look around the property, we'll take down the details, and we'll be honest with folk and say, look, if there is some freshen up decoration required, or there's floor coverings, or kitchen doors or enhancements, whatever the thing that's required in that property to show itself off in a brighter light, we will advise on that.
Which is great to have that expertise.
Yeah, and it's something that we take, and I certainly see as simply part of our customer offering. But we know that it's not every agent that offers this, so it's certainly a point of difference to the service that we offer.
Which is brilliant. And you mentioned you had 2 branches. Did you always start out with 2 branches, or just the one?
No, we have been trading now in Belfast. We're into our 16th year, and we launched the Lisburn branch just over 2 years ago. And that was with a view to, whilst we have a fairly far reach from our Belfast office in terms of the areas we cover, and from there we had serviced some properties in Lisburn. But because Lisburn is such a large geographic area,
of course,
then it made sense after some research to look at servicing that market properly, and that's what we aim to do. So we're really at the stage in Lisburn where we're trying to build the brand,
brilliant,
get our awareness and get our reputation out there, and do a good job for clients, and then people will speak to other people, and hopefully the Campbell Co name will be more well known in as short a time as possible.
Which is brilliant, because you say you had the success in Belfast, and it's building on that success and growing, because a lot of companies can get very stuck in a rut where they're very settled on this is what we've got, and there's no growth there, and growth is so important for a business.
Absolutely.
You know that yourself, and not even that, it's just to take the business further and to be able to increase your offering, and over the years you seem to have done that, moving from just being renting, and now you're in sales and investment, and growing it all the time, which is just, you have to be in today's world. Yes,
I think so, and that was one of the motivators for me to really strive to offer this one-stop shop, as I call it, for those people interested in properties, be it buying, selling, investing, managing, etc. So that was a key consideration, to make sure that the service that we offered did offer something different to what most other agents are offering, and there's quite a big time commitment in that from me and other members of my team to deliver that. But if that's something that points us out as different from the basic offering of an estate agent, then that's where I want to be.
Which is brilliant. And of course, I'm sure you've seen lots of changes over in the buying process and the looking for houses process. What are young professionals looking for when they're buying their first property now?
Young professionals typically will want to be location's a big thing for young professionals. We have found they want to be close to where their interests lie. Now that may be family, friends, it may be their social network, it may be close to their gym, and inevitably they want to have easy access to their place of work. So location is very important to young professionals, and that's something that's come out more and more over the last few years. The other thing that is striking is, and this there has been a change in this over the last number of years, we have noticed, in that typically young professionals who are out working long hours are time poor. So what they want is to buy properties that are finished, as we would call it.
Walk in.
Yes, exactly.
Put your sofa in and sit down.
This whole turnkey term that used to be so popular, and that's about fresh decor in good decorative order, nice floor coverings, modern kitchens and bathrooms. So location first, but this is the type of property that they're looking for, and it would appear that when we look back over the last number of years, they're prepared to pay a premium for that. So that is why when it comes back to the seller, it's important to get it right, to bring the property and present it to the market in as fresh a state and modern and clean lines as possible, because that is the type of property that's being looked for. And first-time buyers, more than any other group, I would associate with wanting finished properties, and that is widely believed because they are time poor.
Yeah, exactly. It's a long enough process actually finding a house you like in a location you like, without then having to go in and totally gut the whole house out and start from scratch again. If you can actually walk into a house that's generally within your feel, and as you say, even the decor is quite clean and plain and you can put your stamp on it, I can totally understand that, because it's a stressful enough process buying a house without then having to complete a renovation when you get there.
Absolutely. And there's been a noticeable difference over this last decade even in terms of how properties are being presented to the market. There is much more emphasis nowadays in presenting the property, dressing the property for sale, not only decoratively but with furnishings and curtains and blinds, and so that the property is dressed and looks more appealing, so as to leave little to the imagination of the buyer.
Yeah, the fresh bread cooking in the oven.
The coffee brewing, yeah.
And are you seeing an increase in those looking to rent rather than buy, or just obviously with the market and things changing, or is it still people's preference to buy?
It's inherent in our culture. We're almost raised to part of life is getting a mortgage, buying your property, raising a family, and so on. Whereas that differs considerably to many other parts of Europe, for example, where predominantly 90+% in some countries, Switzerland for example, properties are rented. So there has been a huge growth in rental. When I first started looking at this data from the census data from 2001, I think there were 11% of properties that were privately rented in Northern Ireland. At the last census in 2011, I believe that was somewhere around 20%. Wow. So, and it's believed there would be an expectation when we get to our next census in 21 that that figure will have grown further. So there's been a huge increase in the number of folks that are renting property as opposed to buying. Why? There's many reasons why people choose to rent rather than buy. That could be starting off with those that are going through university students. They often believe that the sensible route for them is to rent. They're not going to buy as students. They can't afford to buy as students. So that in certain parts of Belfast accounts for an awful lot of privately rented properties. There are those that just prefer the flexibility of renting, and that they not to have a mortgage. There's people simply that don't want to have a mortgage. And another area of growth within Belfast, in particular Belfast city centre properties and those closely adjacent to it, where these companies are setting up in Belfast, call centres, banking institutions, etc., who are bringing in they're workers and staff from all over the world, and these people need somewhere to live. And that accounts for a fair chunk of the rentals in and around Belfast and Belfast city centre, and that seems to be growing over year on year. Over the last number of years, that just seems to be growing. So it seems to me, for someone that started the business in specialising in rentals and property management, we have seen a huge increase in property rental demand over that period. So a whole host of reasons, and but it continues to grow.
Yeah, and even just the flexibility of people wanting to travel more now. People are probably getting married or settling down a little bit later.
Sure.
And they feel like they want to be able to go travel, do their thing, and then come back and then maybe think about buying. But you've still got that 10-year maybe gap of between coming out of university or school and doing a bit of travelling and then coming back and settling down. And just knowing ourselves, I mean, we were away for 11 years, but we had a property before we went. But I can understand a lot of people we would have met who were expats didn't actually own a property because it was more hassle than it was worth to be managing it when you were away somewhere.
Yeah, and a lot of that's changed now. But you're right to hit on that point, is that it's that period of time, that decade maybe, from 20 to 30, people are settling down, we know, later, marrying later, if getting married at all. And therefore, inevitably, that has deferred the property purchase decision. And during that time, assuming they are here in Northern Ireland or at home, they're inevitably renting as opposed to living at home with parents.
Yeah, they're trying to escape.
Or
maybe the parents just throw them out.
Yes, it's one or the other usually, yeah.
So what is the Campbell Co process when actually renting a property for a client? What process do you go through?
Okay, so at the outset, what we will do is we'll carry out a property appraisal first of all, and that's where we note down all of the internal description of the property. We will advise the client on all matters relating to compliance when renting out a property. Things like smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, escape windows, where properties are houses of multiple occupation, that there's regulations in place to that are prescriptive in terms of how the property must be set out with fire extinguishers, fire alarms, easy opening devices, fire doors, etc. So we'll advise on all of the compliance and obviously the rental value, what the rental market value would be. Upon instruction then, usually within 24 hours we can have the property up and on the market. There's no real hold up from our point of view. Once we have had the initial appraisal carried out and have the detail of the property, photographs taken, within 24 hours it's usually on the market. When we put a property on the market, it's marketed fully from day one. So it's on all the relevant property portals relevant to Northern Ireland, Property Pal, Property News, etc., our website, board, etc. So it's put out there from day one. In addition to that, we have we use internal email marketing systems where we push out properties to a huge database that we've maintained over a number of years, and also social media. We're starting to market properties just to create an awareness on social media of availability. We'll carry out key accompanied viewings, and from our point of view, it's not about just necessarily the first tenant that comes along that's interested. We have a genuine approach in terms of finding the right tenants for our clients, and we believe that's one of the most important things in terms of letting a property for a client, that we're getting the right tenants who we believe that are going to look after the property. And of course, beyond that, there is the formal referencing. So there's the employment referencing and previous landlord checks and all of the things that we check there formally. Once the checks are complete, after the submission of an application, we will then advise our client how we've got on. If the referencing is clean, we'll proceed on to having the legal documentation drawn up. And nowadays, that's not just a tenancy agreement. There's associated documentation pertaining to the 2006 Private Tenancies Order, which we must ensure are compliant, and we issue the details, which is prescribed information, to the tenants and also to the landlord. Once the agreements are signed and we have collected the deposit, first month's rent, we will, where we are managing the property, we will then arrange for a handover on the day of move-in. Now, this differs from what a lot of agents do, where a couple of sets of keys are handed out across a desk in an office. That's not how we do things. We will, ahead of that property handover, have completed a detailed inventory and condition report of the property. Now, that's everything from front door, door furniture, to wall coverings, floor coverings, windows, blinds, curtains, light fittings, smoke detectors, and fixtures and furnishings in each room of the property. That'll be then typed up into a report ahead of the handover, and we have also, it's worth mentioning, a dedicated property manager in our business. Now, most agents don't have this, but because of our portfolio of managed properties, we believe this is a great asset to our clients, because little jobs that they don't get charged for, that can be handled through our property manager.
Just even having the consistency and the point of contact, that you know you're always talking to the same person.
Yeah, absolutely, and that they know the property, they know your property, and so on. So you'll meet the tenant at the property at the arranged time. We will walk through the property reading from the inventory, so that our eyes and the tenant's eyes are seeing the same things.
Exactly.
And we'll come away with a signed copy of that inventory and condition report, and that will include noting any electric or gas meter readings. We'll instruct in terms of the tenant setting up utility accounts with electric or gas suppliers. And then in the presence of the tenants, we will take a full video inventory of the property. Wow. So that's all walls, floors, doors, windows, blinds, inside kitchen cupboards, inside ovens, fridges, etc., so that we have a accurate picture of how we have handed that property over, both in written form and in visual form. And that's the tenants there moved in and wish the best. They know where we are if they need us after move-in, and we have to provide 24-hour number to reach in case of emergency. So our management process then commences from there. Each month we will collect the rent, usually electronically, from tenants, and our systems tell us today, which properties are due to pay rent. We'll check as the funds been received, and then we'll pay them on, usually same day, to our clients. Our clients will get an email statement through into their inbox, and once they have that statement, the funds are already in their account same day, and that works. That's quite slick in terms of how we operate that. We will then importantly inspect the property after the first month of tenancy. Brilliant. And then every 4 months thereafter we'll be back in inspecting the property, and that's all about just ensuring that the tenants know we're coming. We have to give notice, but it's just ensuring that and checking the property's being maintained properly, generally kept clean, gardens being looked after in summer months, etc. So that's a very important part of management.
Yeah, and I think it's for both parties, isn't it, as well, that if there's maybe a tenant in there that maybe wants the landlord to do something, that you can also have sight of that, and it's great that every party is being looked after and kept informed, and communication is there, which is so important.
Yeah, exactly, and it gives the tenant the opportunity to, whilst we say don't hold off to an inspection, if you've got an issue, always report it to our office, but it does give tenants an opportunity to engage with us face to face at the inspection, to say, look, I'm having a problem with this, or can you help me out with this fault, or whatever the case may be, and we'll attend to that.
It's brilliant, and as you say, it's a win for everybody.
Yeah. Absolutely, and it gives our clients confidence too, to know that we're going out, and that we're keeping an eye on the property, that it's being maintained and there's no disasters occurring. And as I say, that's a key part of our management service. And the final couple of things to mention about the full management: obviously we're the point of contact night or day. If there's a maintenance issue, the tenants will contact us via email or telephone, or if it's out of hours, a mobile phone, and report any issues, and we'll have those attended to, and our contractors, and we'll keep our landlord clients advised of that at the same time, but we arrange everything. 2 months before the end of tenancy, our renewals process will kick into play, and that's where we'll write to the tenants to establish what they wish to do. Are they planning to renew the tenancy, or are they planning to vacate? Either way, once we've established that, we'll contact our landlord client. If everything's agreed, we will then organise the renewal signing, where tenants are wishing to renew. But where they're not wishing to renew and give notice, that gives us up to 2 months to remarket the property. Meanwhile, the landlord client is still getting a rental income, and the obvious idea is that we have that property agreed for rent again for the end of that tenancy, which for the vast majority of cases, that's how it works.
Which is brilliant, because you do not want that gap if you're paying
Absolutely.
the mortgage on the house and everything else.
Yeah, very important. And so that works really well. And the final thing I suppose to mention is, once the tenants have given us notice, we will write to the tenants with a detailed set of end of tenancy instructions, and that includes a detailed cleaning checklist, etc., just to guide tenants in terms of what they need to do and how they need to leave the property at the end of tenancy. We will have diaried forward then from the notice period to the last day of tenancy, and that's when our property manager will go in and do a final checkout inspection once the tenants are vacated. And that's about checking that all the furniture, fixtures, fittings are in place, there's no damages, there's no decorative damage, floor coverings, and that the property's been left clean, and that any gardens associated with the property are left tidy. And that, hopefully, if the tenants have followed the instructions and they've left everything right, that leads to a very prompt release of their deposit paid back to them. However, where there are issues, then it's our responsibility as managing agents to deal with those, be those cleaning, carpet cleaning, decoration, fixes, whatever the issue may be. And our job, as we see it, is bringing the property right back, ready for new tenants to move in.
Which is brilliant, and it's such a comprehensive service. It's absolutely amazing, but I'm sure you do face some challenges when managing property. What sort of challenges would be the most stressful, I suppose, for you guys?
There's a number of challenges in property management, and the way it feels sometimes is that it's nearly a 24 hours a day business when you're getting out of hours calls and holidays and so on. However, that's a job we're charged with carrying out. I suppose listing a few of the challenges are late payment of rent can be an issue on occasions. How we start off things, though, is prior to a tenant moving into a property, when they come in to sign their documentation, we take them through their obligations contained within the tenancy agreement. So a tenant knows before they move in that the rent has got to be paid by the due date each month, and they know that the property is to be well maintained. A challenge is, on occasions, some tenants keep properties better maintained better than others in terms of cleanliness and so on. But we're not about going out with a white glove in terms of inspections. We're not upset about the kitchen's in a mess with dishes in a sink. What we're interested in is the fabric of the property, the walls, the floors, the fixtures, the furnishings, etc., and how it's generally being maintained in terms of cleanliness. So challenges certainly is rent, and another one is where some tenants maybe choose to make changes to the property without permission. So they may think it's a good idea to paint a wall bright pink, or a luminous yellow, or black, non-neutral colours, of course, and tenants are not permitted to, contained within the tenancy agreement, they're not permitted to make changes without permission. Many tenants do contact us and ask us for permission, which we seek to agree with the landlord, and then we confirm in writing that they're permitted to paint a room in a certain colour and so on. But it's when tenants don't do that, and then they make brash choices in terms of colour schemes, and that can be challenging. And what we must do when we pick up on that on inspections is to advise the tenant of that, ask them not to carry out further decoration without permission, for example, and seek to have that put right, or a decoration deposit, an additional deposit taken against to ensure that they leave the property as it was prior to the end of tenancy. So that's another challenge. One of the most common problems in property management we find is mould on properties, and that's caused by condensation. It's caused by lack of ventilation, and people not opening windows and allowing fresh air to circulate through the property often enough, and that should be done regularly. Again, we give guidance notes on the back page of our inventory. When they move in, we draw attention to it. Here's how to avoid build-up of condensation, which ultimately leads to black mould on walls. At the early stages of that mould showing, it's easily treated, and we ask tenants to contact our office, and we will arrange for the property manager to call and to have that treated. But that is a problem, and that can at its worst become a major decoration issue. Because
and as you say, you've got maybe the tenants complaining that it's unsightly, and then you've got obviously the owner saying, well, they're wrecking my walls.
Yes, exactly, exactly. So that's one of those common challenges, because often to a tenant's eyes, it's we've got damp.
Yes. Yes,
Well,
but
of course,
it's
it's not damp. It's as a matter of fact, it's caused by condensation and or lack of heating in the winter months. So that's something that we engage with tenants regularly and try and manage. And I suppose it's the other thing is where tenants do make other changes within the property because they don't own the property, and we've got to give the tenants respect. Says their home while they're renting the property, but they don't own the property and therefore do not have permission to make significant changes within the property without first seeking permission.
Yeah, so plenty of challenges to keep you going anyway.
Yes.
And you offer a free service to clients who are looking to invest in property, which is very interesting. What does that entail?
So some years ago, again back to the offering this one-stop shop for property clients, we introduced this free service, and really to walk you through it, if you're wishing to invest in property, as more and more people are, with bank rates being so low and savings, those folks that have cash in the bank are looking to say, well, instead of maybe up to 1% interest, can I set this into 7, 8, 9, 10% and get that sort of interest on their cash? So what we offer is that we will do a full hand-holding exercise in terms of helping clients identify where to buy, what type of property, how many bedrooms, etc., because that is important for rental income uptime. And we can advise then right through on what identify defects, view the property with the clients if they wish, identify any defects as I mentioned, and we can arrange quotes for any improvement works or refurbishment works. So typically we can be organising, as we are at the moment for a few properties for clients, new kitchens to be installed, bathrooms to be installed, full redecorations, floor coverings, double glazing, whatever it is. We have a full panel of contractors and builders that can deliver on that and deliver at a fair price. So we are happy to spend the time with the client guiding them in what they should be buying, what yield they should be looking for in terms of a rental return, and helping them to achieve that. And at the same time, where properties are identified in terms of the location that we're looking for, and we seek to help to refurbish where it's required for refurbishment or improvement works, arranging the quotes for the clients, and then we can organise the works. So we can have contractors booked due the week after, the day after completion of the sale of their purchase of the property, and contractors are then booked to go in to commence the works in as short a time frame as possible. Meanwhile, we can be marketing the property on the market to let, again with a view to having the property let as soon as possible to start generating that income and ultimately return on their investment. So it's start to finish, and it's not something we charge for. I'm not aware of anybody else in the market that offers that free service in terms of the time that we will invest in that. But all we ask is that our clients that we have spent time helping, and they will use us to let and to manage the property effectively for them.
Which is amazing because, as you say, it's just a seamless process. You actually don't really have to do anything, only kind of say, this is my budget, this is what I'd like, and maybe go and see it.
That's right. That's right. And often that's the case. I mean, we've carried out refurbishments for clients that I've never met.
Of course,
who are in other countries,
abroad,
who have been referred to us maybe by family or friends, and that we have guided them and actually selected properties for them and done the good negotiation on their behalf right the way through. So we like to think that we can offer an all-inclusive service to our clients, and that's an important part of what Campbell Co has to offer.
Which is brilliant. It's just such a really tight process as well, that the investor knows exactly what they're getting and how it's going to work, and the fact that you can just arrange everything, it just makes a world of a difference. There's nothing worse, as you say, if you've bought a property and then you have to try and find someone to do a kitchen and someone to do tiling and someone to do, it just becomes an absolute nightmare, especially, as you say, if you're not in the country or you're 2 hours drive away. It's great to know that you guys can just do everything, and that you can be trusted to do everything is brilliant.
Well, that's a big thing. An important thing for me is that clients know that they can trust us, and those that have built up a business relationship and working relationship with us over the years know that. They know that they'll get an honest, straightforward service that they can rely on. That's very important to me.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I hate to mention the B word, but
mention most days, why not?
Exactly. I know, not a day goes by. Do you think Brexit will have a massive impact on the housing market in Northern Ireland, or in general?
If I knew the answer to that, I wouldn't be doing what I'd be doing. I'd be making much more money making other predictions. However, my view on it is it's difficult for me to see how Brexit will reach down into property values of a 2 or 3 bed, 4 bed property in north, south, east, west Belfast. That's difficult for me to see how it'll reach down and to really affect that, unless there is no deal, and as a result of no deal, the country falls into financial crisis again. That is totally unpredictable in terms of how that would impact in the property market. My view is, as long as there's a deal that that paves the way for a clean exit, then my view is it will be beneficial for the local property market. And to explain that is that there is no doubt that Brexit has caused a huge amount of uncertainty for people. And where there's uncertainty, investors won't be investing as they could be. Movers won't be moving. You know, those folks that are thinking of maybe buying their first home maybe will hold off in case properties values fall off a cliff. Those that are looking to move into a larger property, those thinking of, as I've said, investing in property, may just hold off on making those decisions until there's a little bit more clarity. But once that clarity comes, and if it's a relatively smooth exit, then I think that will release and restore much more confidence within those groups that I've mentioned. And in my view, that will increase property transactions, certainly within Northern Ireland, because the demand is there.
Yeah, and how is the property market at the minute?
The property market's very buoyant. We in fact have been very busy. This year is noticeably busier than last year, and over recent months, property stock levels have increased quite significantly in terms of both rental and sales instructions. Investors is a key part of our business, where we're bringing on investor clients. Noticeable increase in inquiries, but I feel that could be further increased if we didn't have this Brexit hanging over us. But overall, the market is buoyant. There is good demand, very strong rental demand. It just seems to be ever increasing. Every year, it just seems to get there seems to be a greater level of demand for good quality rental properties, based mainly in and the greatest demand will be in Belfast city centre, or those outlying areas that offer convenient access and easy commuting into Belfast. So no doubt rental demand has increased, and from a sales point of view, properties, well presented properties that come to the market, there's demand, and the selling times we are finding have reduced. I'm generalising, but for well presented properties have reduced significantly.
Wow, which is good.
Yeah,
good for
absolutely good. Absolutely
good. Good if you're buying property.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah.
So, what is the future for Campbell Co? What big plans have you got next?
Well, our focus is mainly at the minute it's further establishing our brand in the Lisburn and Greater Lisburn area, and ensuring that we are delivering. We have created a couple of new positions within Campbell Co recently to further support our property maintenance and management team, and it's about making sure that's consolidated, and some new processes that we're introducing just to further enhance the communication streams that we have with our tenants and our landlords. So we're working hard on that at the moment, and really just trying to increase, as I say, brand awareness. Where the next branch will pop up, you'll need to wait and see.
Oh, hold it. We'll find out in the next video in 6 months' time.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Gordon, for coming in today.
Thank you for having me.
It's been so interesting in terms of just buyers, sellers, investors, what people are doing, what people expect, and the processes that you offer are just so seamless and really well thought out and logical. But if someone did want to avail of your services as an investor or a buyer or a seller, what's the best way to contact you? Is it just via the website, or come into the office and see you guys? Or
it's really I'm always happy to sit down with folks face to face and have a chat and a coffee and just see what advice that they need and understand their requirements. But initial contact, they can telephone either of our offices in Belfast or Lisburn, or email our offices, and we'll be glad to respond to them, usually same day.
Brilliant. Love it. Love it. Right on time, same day. Rents in the banks, same day. Contact back, same day. But thank you so much for taking the time to come in and see us today. That's all from us today from ProfileTree TV. I really hope you've enjoyed our interview today, and we will see you all again soon.